There's never been a greater opportunity to create content in an easy, affordable way that kind of anyone can do. And there's never been more platforms, more opportunity to take it to your audience than there is today. Video specifically is the most engaging, in terms of retention of messaging. Video rates at 95% retention of messaging as opposed to 25% tested against the same people with a piece of print content. So we know that video works. We also know that video is hugely prevalent. More video has been produced in the last 30 days than the major US TV networks have produced in the last 30 years. And it's statistics like that that tell us that by the end of 2020, 81% of online traffic will be video streaming. So we know that video has this huge penetration. We know that everyone's got the tools to make video these days, but it's about how we harness that as content creators, how we really sort of package something up so that you're not just adding to a sea of forgettable video content online. The creative process must always start with the end, right? So you've always got to know who's your audience and what do you want your content to do. Once you know that, only then can you really start to think what's the process of creating a great piece of packaged content. The second step then is to really know and understand your audience so that you're making something relevant, yeah? Something that actually resonates with them, something that affects them emotionally, and something that garners the action that you want. But you've also got to know where those people reside, particularly online. You've got a target audience. You want to know what platforms you want them to be consuming it on, or what platforms they're most likely to be consuming, where you can place your content right under their noses. Data can give you information. It can give you a pathway to target and retarget people, but data can't create, right? So data can only give you the information, and then it's up to you how you start formulating the story. Then when you start creating, it comes back to traditional storytelling. We talk about data, we talk about mirroring, we talk about retargeting, we talk about the latest kind of flashy camera filters that you see around you and the latest editing tools and the apps within which you create. But within all of that, quite often gets lost traditional storytelling and what the story does for you. Because there's no point in making content that just sort of barks at people with a list of facts. When you tell stories effectively, and when done properly, we know that stories can cement power, stories can overthrow governments, stories can make you travel to a far-flung place or be inspired to buy into a brand or believe in a brand's values. But it's really got to be formulated in a traditional story. The way we can harness that data is know what the audience are and reflect them in the story, because it's all about relevance. When I watch a piece of content, I don't think this, I don't process it out loud, but really what everyone's doing is going, how's this relevant to me and to my life? So if you create a story that in some way speaks to them and their own life, then it is much more impactful. Most people in agencies would say quality over quantity, right? And absolutely it's true, right? Because people, clients, brands, organizations and institutions quite often in their marketing and communication strategy make themselves a hostage to fortune by this self-imposed content calendar that they've got to get out. They must do 30 pieces of content a month, otherwise they've not done anything. What they often don't realize is that they're just posting 30 organic pieces of content per month that nobody actually sees. So typically you're much better to go, well, when have I got something to say? When have I got something relevant to say, and create something really good, high quality and meaningful, and then scientifically take it out to the audience you want to consume it. That's much more effective. But I would err on the side of caution because, I've worked with organizations and brands before where there's an obsession with hitting 100% quality that actually hampers the idea that you're putting something out at all and creating. Now, In this world where you've got to be relevant and you've got to be timely, you know, for me, if you've got a decent piece of content that you're 95% happy with and it's relevant, timely, and it's a good story, then just get it out. So there's a balance to be made there. I don't think you can ever create a piece of content in order for it to go viral. I think that, you know, all you can keep doing is creating good content that is shareable, that is compelling, that is relevant, that's engaging, and then, you know, you're down to let the audience do the work for you then. When I've created a piece of content for a client or for whatever, and I see it back on a social channel, or better still, when it's been exported and been shared in various WhatsApp groups as something that's funny or cool or interesting or relevant in some way to the lives we're all kind of leading, that's what makes me really proud. So, of course, everyone wants to get more eyeballs on everything, but really, you can't force that. The best practices will always be to start at the end. Know what you want to happen after the person has watched the video. Quite often people will come to Seven Studios and say, oh, I want a video about X, Y, and Z. And the first question is always why? What do you want that to do, that video? And they sometimes say, I just want a video, just give it to me. And you're like, well, okay, well, we don't want to do that really, because then we're just giving you a video with no sort of end game and it won't have the impact that you require. So when you get people thinking about what you want it to do, where you want it to be, the way they want it to make the audience feel or react, then that's absolutely the best practice of it. And I guess that, you know, I sit here in a fairly unique position as an owner of Seven Studios, which is a video production agency and content creator, but also Seven Media, which is a PR company, which takes things down to execution, which knows exactly how to target the audiences. So it's those two things combined that are the winning formula, I suppose. I mean, a great example of being able to target a piece of content that has a tangible effect at the end of it was a piece that we did for Marriott International. We do the social media content and social media execution for Marriott in the Middle East. And they wanted a piece to promote their loyalty scheme, Marriott Bonvoy, and ultimately get people to sign up to the loyalty scheme. The success of that was in the targeting and in the spend behind it. Now, it was a human-focused video that showed an individual who people would say, that guy's just like me, enjoying some great moment. And they think, well, I could be that, right? There's a small story behind it. But the real success of that was in the way we knew the exact target market by demographic, by geography, and then through the social media targeting, we took it to exactly the right people at the right time with a good call to action and a link so that they could click straight through from there. It's not all through social media either. You know, sometimes video as a tool is useful in many different ways. We were working on a project for the government of Ras Al Khaimah to get the public in Ras Al Khaimah to do home separation for recycling, and we had a couple of hours with His Highness, the ruler of Ras Al Khaimah. Very, very simple, very, very emotional. That video was used in multiple different ways. Yes, it was put on the government of Ras Al Khaimah's own channels, but it was also shared with multiple partners on social media channels at the government level. It was also shown in every hotel in Ras Al Khaimah, and we put it out through our PR arm, where it got 20 pieces of coverage on digital channels in Arabic language of the most prestigious publishing houses in the region. Lastly, that particular piece of video content was also used, it was loaded up onto large iPads and taken out into the harder to reach areas of Ras Al Khaimah. And it was actually shown to the imams, who then spoke about His Highness's messages just before the prayers on the Friday. So we were able to take that piece of video content and use it in so many multiple ways. So it's not just about execution on social media. Video is a tool that can be used in many different ways. People really only think about social at the moment. But when you're producing something, every step of the way should always be, what is the end game? What is the end game? And what are you trying to do with the piece of content that you're producing.